When he called you and said he was pulling out of the race, what was that like? And did he offer to endorse you right away, or did you ask for it?
It was a Sunday, so here, I'll give you a little too much information.
Go for it. There's no such thing, Madam Vice President.
My family was staying with us, and including my baby nieces, and we had just had pancakes and, Auntie, can I have more bacon? Yes, I'll make you more bacon. And then we were sitting down to do a puzzle. And the phone rang, and it was Joe Biden. And he told me what he had decided to do. And I asked him, "Are you sure?" And he said yes. And that's how I learned about it.
And what about the endorsement? Did you ask for it?
He was very clear that he was going to support me.
So when he called to tell you, he said, "I'm pulling out of the race and I'm going to support you."
Well, my first thought was not about me, to be honest with you.
She never answered the question, by the way. Did you ask him to endorse you? How did the endorsement come about? Nothing but baby bop bimbo babble. It took 40 days and 40 nights for Kamala the cosplaying chameleon to stop running from the media, only for her to rattle on about feeding her grandbaby nieces bacon. She had the first and only interview since we found out she was running for president, and she couldn't even do it alone. She was so scared she had to bring her emotional support puppy with her just to answer questions from a huge supporter, Dana Bash, who's been running interference for Kamala Harris and CNN. They've been the propaganda network. It was the most friendly environment she could have been in, yet she was still scared and uncomfortable, clearly visible. She didn't look presidential. She looked more like a kid going to the principal's office with her dad for cutting up in the lunch line. She looked frail, weak, and tired. CNN did not air the interview live, but they put live on the screen while they aired the interview that was pre-recorded to prop up to their viewers as if it was live. This interview was shot days before. They allowed Kamala to edit out the really bad parts that made her look really stupid, and took 45 minutes to an hour of footage down to a fraction of the time. Which is unbelievable, by the way. Never in history did you have a major network allow a candidate to dictate the interview all the way down to the footage and the editing. Once again, proving they're giving this woman super special privileges that no other candidate was given before, not even Hillary. Hillary did major interviews in 2008 and 2016 when she ran for president and wasn't afraid to answer tough questions in front of anybody. So I can't say it's because Kamala is a woman, because Hillary was grilled like crazy, just like any other candidate. Now, during her interview, she said she had no regrets about lying to the public and gaslighting everybody about Biden's cognitive decline.
You were a very staunch defender of President Biden's capacity to serve another 4 years. Right after the debate, you insisted that President Biden is extraordinarily strong. Given where we are now, do you have any regrets about what you told the American people?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have served with President Biden for almost 4 years now, and I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest honors of my career, truly. He cares so deeply about the American people. He is so smart and loyal to the American people. And I have spent hours upon hours with him, be it in the Oval Office or the Situation Room. He has the intelligence, the commitment, and the judgment and disposition that I think the American people rightly deserve in their president.
It also wasn't lost on me that Kamala the cosplaying chameleon refused to call herself black in the interview, even when questioned about Trump saying that she just turned black.
I was a little bit surprised. People might be surprised to hear that you have never interacted with him, met him face to face. That's going to change soon. But what I want to ask you about is what he said last month. He suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
Any
Same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
That was her moment to say how black she was, but of course she didn't, because the jig is up. We already know now that she's been cosplaying as a black American woman when her mom is Indian and her dad is Indian and Irish, born in Jamaica, with no evidence of him ever identifying as a black man. She's clearly not black American. She's an Indian American candidate who spent a significant part of her upbringing in Canada, raised by her Indian Asian family. Then she took no responsibility for the border crisis. Biden put her in charge over the border in 2021, and both of them supported open borders. Kamala even said that she wanted to decriminalize illegal immigration. Before, she wasn't a proponent of Trump's border wall, but in recent ads, she's all of a sudden flip-flopping, once again, talking about she supports the same wall that she once said Trump was evil for proposing. And in this interview, she even tried to blame Trump for her and Biden allowing millions of illegals in the country.
Another issue, big one, is immigration. As vice president, you were tasked with addressing the root causes of migration in southern countries and
Northern part of Central America.
the northern part of Central America that affects the southern border of the U.S. During the Biden-Harris administration, there were record numbers of illegal border crossings. Why did the Biden-Harris administration wait 3.5 years to implement sweeping asylum restrictions?
Well, first of all, the root causes work that I did as vice president, that I was asked to do by the president, has actually resulted in a number of benefits, including historic investments by American businesses in that region. The number of immigrants coming from that region has actually reduced since we began that work.
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
But I will say this, that Joe Biden and I, and our administration, worked with members of the United States Congress on an immigration issue that is very significant to the American people and to our security, which is the border. And through bipartisan work, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, a bill was crafted, which we supported, which I support. And Donald Trump got word of this bill that would have contributed to securing our border, and because he believes that it would not have helped him politically, he told his folks in Congress, don't put it forward. He killed the bill.
Yeah, they did nothing about the border in 3.5 years, then tried to blame it on Trump and a border bill. One, this is a very weak response, insinuating that Trump out of office had more power than you and the president of the U.S. in office. If you have no power even in power, why are you asking for votes to stay in power? And then two, they allowed these illegals to come over on purpose to replace black people. Now they're acting like they want to fix the problem they exasperated. You don't need a border bill to do anything about the border. No, not when there's executive power. And ultimately, that's what Biden did 2 to 3 months ago ahead of the debate with Trump so that he could play like he was being proactive about the migrant crisis when he wasn't. And I can't forget in this interview, she couldn't answer one of the easiest questions, the most predictable questions, like what she would do on the first day in office if she's promoted from vice president to president.
The voters are really eager to hear what your plans are. If you are elected, what would you do on day one in the White House?
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you, first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When I look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people, I think that people are ready for a new way forward, in a way that generations of Americans have been fueled by hope and by optimism. I think, sadly, in the last decade, we have had in the former president someone who has really been pushing an agenda and an environment that is about diminishing the character and the strength of who we are as Americans, really dividing our nation, and I think people are ready to turn the page on that.
She's like, I'm going to do what I can do. Like, what exactly? That's not telling us what you would do. One way you can strengthen the American people is to stop letting these illegals over here giving all the American resources to outsiders. She never said what action she would do the first day, just more word salad. And then she kept talking about the last 10 years. Well, she and Biden was in charge the last 4 years, and Obama and Biden ran the first 2 years of that 10-year period she's talking about. That's 6 out of 10 years they've been in charge. See, she's been doing this the whole time too, acting like she's brand new running for office when she's already in office. She's been taking credit for anything that she believed they accomplished, but at the same time run away from their losses. Like, which one is it? All in all, this interview was a disaster, and I see why she's trying to figure out how to pull out the debate. If you haven't heard, she's trying to come up with all these new rules because she's scared to debate, without her notes and a written speech. The truth is, their whole lack of transparency strategy is backfiring on them. In a normal world, in 6 weeks, a presidential candidate would have had 10 major interviews with mainstream media, along with 10 to 20 more interviews with other platforms, from local press and alternative sources. They built up all this expectation around this one interview because she's been avoiding questions. Kamala, she's very sheltered, she's rusty, and her weaknesses are being exposed. Someone who's not comfortable being questioned is not going to become more comfortable being questioned by not answering questions. This is crazy. She can't even talk to Dana Bash without a chaperone. Could you imagine her speaking with other world leaders? We have a lot of things to worry about, and it's fascinating how way too many people are still treating this like the AKA debutante pageant. This is not a pageant. This lady is trying to be the leader of the free world. Let's go ahead and get the conversation started. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Special thank you to Edmund. I appreciate you, Edmund, for all of your support, as well as Mark C, Lauren G, Adrian, Mike G, The Wall Reports, Black Maverick, Caleb, and Roland C. Don't forget that you can support this channel as well. Links to Cash App and PayPal are below. Ladies, fellas, want a balanced analysis, want the truth from a woman's perspective? Then you're going to want to subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to like and share.